You open this for a reason, and this is because you've probably used ChatGPT or you use Gemini, you use Claude, and so along the way, you thought, okay, this is not as smart as it's actually meant to be. You probably ask the question and you go back, this response of generic text where, you have to now spend 20 minutes editing it. And by the time you are done, you probably wondered, why do you even bother using AI in the first place? So here is what no one told you. And that is the fact that AI is not broken, but the instructions you give it are. Today, I'm going to show you the exact reason why your prompts have been letting you down and how to fix it in the next 9 minutes. So the plan is that this is not a long tutorial. This is not a code. This is not teaching you how to code anything, but you are going to get 3 things from this video. And the first one is, the logic behind how AI thinks, the 5 frameworks that can turn a vague request into a very precise instruction, and also a live demo where I'm going to show you the same prompt that's going to produce 2 different results. And from here on, you get to see if this is going to work for you as well. If you're new here, I'm Jude, and you can call me Navana. For the last 4 years, I have been building AI systems for over 70 agencies, startups, and also influenced various business owners, partnering with them and AI marketing automation specialists. I started this channel initially for selfish reasons, but late because, I got tired of, watching people online claim they are making over 200 grand a month with AI, and they're not teaching anything that actually works or give you any value. So because of this, I broke down everything I know into 5 layers of AI. I broke this into 5 layers of AI, and this is right from the foundation layer into building autonomous systems. We are going to be spending 60 days together on this, and I can promise you one thing, which is on the final video. By the time you've watched all this, you're going to be an expert in AI end to end, basically. By the end of this video, you won't be guessing at any prompt anymore. You have a structure you can repeat on any task, any platform, any module. And, this is going to basically turn, your AI from this chatbot into something that produces work. So you'll actually be willing to send, these things to a client at any point. The first thing I'm going to be talking about here is the layer 1, which is communication. So before any automation, before we build automations or APIs, before any of the heavier stuff comes later in the series, we're going to start with, how to talk to this machine. So let's get into it. Most people out here are trying to find the perfect prompt. And if you are one of them, I'm going to tell you to stop. The thing is, prompts are just words, but the logic behind this is the engine. So you can probably copy the best prompt template on Twitter and you will still get garbage at the end of the day. And that is because you don't understand what is actually happening underneath those words. So before we are going to touch any framework, and I need you to actually understand what this machine is actually doing when you click. And this is a concept I want you to always have in your mind, which is the fact that AI is not a search engine. It is not a database of facts as well. It is more of a prediction engine. Every word it produces is its best guess, what word should probably come next, based on the billions of sentences it was trained on. If you type, "the cat sat on," you're going to notice that the AI is going to predict more on the math here. And that is not because this AI knows your cat. It is more because the math follows, the sentence pattern. This is what was often used to train this AI, and it has more of this in its data than any other thing. So, and it's going to pick this over every other sentence in this particular table. And that's because in this case, you can see it here is written, if the model picks this word, it has over its 9% probability. That means based on the records, based on the billions of sentences it was used to train, this model has seen a lot of sat on a mat in millions of training examples. And it's more of the safest and the highest probability completion as well. So it's going to choose this more often. This is where you get to understand that the way this goes is, now when you type write a business email, you've left a probability that is going to go completely wide open, because the AI goes right down into the middle. It picks the safest word the most expected word as well for that particular request. And that is where, the generic output comes from. So with this case, you get to understand that AI is not just a bad tool, it is more of an under-instructed one. A simple example here is you type the cat sat on D. Now, the AI is going to predict maths because this has been trained. It's not that, it's not because the AI knows your cat, but it's because math follows that sentence pattern more often than anything else in the training data. Now, when you type something like write a business email, you've left the probability wide open, basically, because the AI goes right down the middle and it picks the safest word expected, and for that particular request. And that is where the generic outputs come from. So the thing here is that AI is not a bad tool, it's more of an under-instructed one. The real life connection. Now, let me show you where I learned this from. And this is not from AI, but this is more from real life. So when I was first finding my first clients on Facebook and Upwork, and I had no reputation, no case study, no brand. All I had was, just messages. I just, code messages and everything. Now, I learned something very fast, which is the fact that you can be sending about 100 generic messages and receive 0 reply. That's because most of the time, these people get to understand that you're just spamming them. You're just, sending code DMs to a lot of people out there. But if you send 10 highly specified messages or specific messages that are more personalized to them, you notice you get more replies. So you could send about 10 messages and receive about 3 replies. Now, the kind of message I send here might be saying I do digital marketing and I get ignored every single time. But the message that named the exact problem and describe exactly how I will fix it is those ones that I actually used to book those calls I get. And this works basically in the same logic because it's the same game here. AI rewards more on you being specific. And that is the same way these busy people that you're reaching out to also do. That's more on if you send a vague question or if you send a vague request, you're going to receive back a vague output. And if you send something specific, you're going to receive something very specific as well. So here is a framework I want you to keep. You should stop treating AI like a mind reader and start treating it like an intern or like an employee, someone you just have that is working for you. This person can be very brilliant, this person can be fast, this person can be ready to work. And when they show up the first day, you just get to notice that the fact that they know nothing about you, they don't know your clients, they don't know your industry, they don't know your voice as well. So if you just walk up and say, go and do marketing, even if the person is an expert, the person will probably freeze, like they don't understand. Where should they start from? They should just go. And that is not because they are useless. It is more because, you give them nothing to work with. So here is the structure. And these are basically 5 things that you should put in every instruction you send every single time. The first one is the role. So in this case now, you're not just saying, you're more of saying you're a B2B sales consultant who hates jargons or who hates fluff or never waste words. And the next thing you give, which is the context, that is, what is the situation? What exactly is going on? Now, in this place, you can put, okay, so my agency is rebuilding and I'm doing code outreach to get back like about 3 clients, something. And the next one you give it is the tax. What exactly do you need it to do? And that is where you tell it, okay, write a 3-sentence code email to a marketing manager at a mid-size e-commerce brand. So you are giving it a particular task to do now. And the next one, which is the fourth one, is going to be the goal. What should be the outputs? What should happen after this? So what you want to do is, okay, you want them to reply and agree to like a 15-minute call. And the next one is the constraint. That is, what should it never do? What should this AI never do? What should it never touch? So you can tell it, okay, you don't want any corporate language. Don't use you are excited or synergy or, all these corporate jargons or things like let us up on a call. So everything I covered here is more the role, the context, the task, the goal, and the constraints. If you have this instruction, everything in place that you've listed out is what separates you having a prompt to having a command. So let me show you this in real time. I'm going to type a bad prompt first. Then I want you to watch what comes back. And we're going to tell it to write a code outreach, message, call, and AI automation service. Send this. All right. So we see what comes up from this. This sounds very generic. It sounds safe. It sounds, easily forgettable. And I will bet you with you, this is something you could have written yourself in like 30 seconds, and it should have, been equally useless. But you see what happens when we instruct it with something as detailed by using the 5-step framework I used initially, which in this case, I'm going to say you are an expert B2B copyright. I rebuilt my agency from scratch after hitting zero. So I understand what manual repetitive work actually costs a business. All right. So I now tell it to write a 3-sentence cold email to a marketing manager explaining how make.com can save 10 hours a week on the lead intake. No fluff or, corporate language. No filler. All right, so let's see how this runs instead. Now, you can see the difference between these two. This particular one saved us tokens, and it's also saved us on, a whole bunch of things that are probably not necessary for us to mention there. What we see here is we're using the same AI, we're using the same module, or we're using the same model rather, but it gave us answers, but with different output entirely. And what you will notice here is that we're using the same tool, but the instruction changed. So when we see this, we get to understand that it is what we feed into AI is more of this garbage in, garbage out kind of thing, where we feed AI something as generic as this, and it gives us this, compared to what we gave it here, which just give us straight to the point, a little bit on what we have when it comes to, and based on my experiences as well, it's included every single thing here. 0 shot versus few shots. This is the pro unlock moment, slightly elevated energy. Now, I want you to give one more tool, and this is what is going to separate people who are good at, using this particular prompt to people who are actually great at using it. So most people use what we call 0-shot prompting, and this is the kind of stuff I used here. So, 0-shot prompting is more, you give it a task with no example, you just ask the AI to do one particular thing. And this is an example here where I tell it to write a tweet about AI. And you can see that this also gives us that same kind of result, which is, it just gives a flat, based on a flat language, save, and you can easily forget something like this because you see often. But the upgrade we have here now is, this one is called a few shots prompting. And what we have here, we give the AI 2 or 3 examples of, what a good result actually looks like, an example of the kind of post you've made before. Then you ask for the output as well. So the example I gave here was, I said, here are 3 tweets that got strong engagement. So I gave it example 1, 2, and 3. And I told it to write a new tweet about AI using the same voice, the same exact style, in the same exact style. And when you think of it like this, it is like you are telling someone to cook something versus you are handling them 3 recipes that you actually love. So you are giving the same chef, you are giving the same person, but the result you get is completely different. Because when you don't give examples, you are basically asking the AI to bring from the large records of what it knows to just offer you recommendations to sell. But when you give examples, you're asking the AI to guess your style. And you are basically showing it this is how your style is. So before I let you go, I want you to remember one particular thing before I make another video after, is tomorrow we are going to go into day 2 of this particular series. And so another example I'm going to show you based on what I have here is the logic audits. So I built this, which you can have access to it as well. And you can see, you can paste any prompt here and it's going to run it. So what I have here is the vague prompt, which is something very simple. And when you run it, you get to see it is going to check. It's going to check if it's factual. It's going to check if it's specific. and it's also going to check the pattern. And this particular one, this vague prompt failed all through everything. So, and you can see the warning it also gave us and the instruction that, it said if you can't pass the audits, the AI doesn't have a chance. So basically, something as simple as this, you can see that if we are going to send this out, it is going to be very bad. It's just going to be very bad. Let's use an half-baked one and let's see what's up. Let's run this audit as well. So you can see this one still failed because it is missing more context. We're not adding like the numbers, situations, or audiences. We're not being specific. We're not giving it a goal. We're not giving it something to work on. So an example is, it says here we should show the AI what good looks like, because I said AI, make it good, right? So I said the AI, you can see what it's giving me. But we can have a well-built one where I said it should, a copywriter who likes to write like Alex Emozi. Now, when I have something as deep as this with examples, I gave it a lot of context, examples, and details, and also how I want the outputs to look like. This is the format I want it to give me as well. When we run these audits, we get to see it passes every single test we have here. It is factual, it is specific, it is something a stranger can follow as well. And it also has a pattern, meaning it has examples it can follow to ensure that, yes, this particular one works. So you can see that this AI passes it, and this AI has a lot of data, structure, and patterns as well. So you can expect a sharp first draft. So in this case, you can see that this passes the logic of, this main logic where I get to see if it follows the 5 steps of the framework I gave it. And the last thing I'm going to tell you here is that basically, I want you to understand that this is the first day, and I had to just, put all these things together to make you understand how to communicate with AI. Then tomorrow, I'm going to also make that will be our day 2, and I'm going to show you how to. But starting from the communication, which is the layer 1 I have here, this is more. I'm trying to let you understand how to feed AI large amounts of real data. So, you stop guessing and start performing like a specialist, basically. But before that, we go on to more classes, I want to leave you with one question, which I believe is something I actually want you to think about. I want you to look at the last 3 things you asked AI to do. And I want you to now imagine, you handling exact same instruction to your assistant. Let's assume you have a new assistant, and this person has proven that they are capable and they are willing to, work with you, but they know nothing about you. You can just imagine giving this to someone that know nothing about you, basically. Do you think the person will be able to finish that task without asking you a single question? Like, if they have to basically come back and say, okay, what do you mean here? Or where is this data, from? Or what exactly should I do with this particular data? When you face something like this one, where you think about it this way, you get to understand that, the instructions are actually broken. And it is not the AI's fault. It's not the tools. So in this case, if you fix the instruction, they are also going to fix the output you get from this AI. So that's everything I have about the day 1 on how to communicate with AI, and we're still on layer 1. I would also provide all these resources. I'm going to provide all these resources here where you can check about it, and you can read more about this here. So I provided every single thing here. So I'm going to provide this same thing in subsequent videos I make. And for you to understand more on how to communicate with AI, and to even know how AI was built in the first place, I want you to check a video I'm going to attach very soon. That video is by the father of AI. We call him the father of AI, Andrew Kapati. You can check this video. And this video was what I actually watched when I first got more familiar with AI, about LLMs, how they were built, how they were actually trained. With this video, it's quite enough for you to understand the position AI is and when you are communicating with it. So I'll advise every single person to just watch the video I'm going to attach here. It's not my video, but I feel this is going to help every single person on in this. So yeah, I'll see you on day 2. Have a nice day.